Yes, I'm making a video about the American election, despite neither living in the USA nor being able to vote there. The thing is, this election is freaking everywhere here. The media is full of it. It's like that stupid royal wedding a few years ago. You cannot go online, watch TV, read the newspaper, or listen to the radio without hearing about that crap. Maybe that's because Trump's airheaded wife is born here, but I heard that the same crap is also happening in all other countries in Europe, so I digress. Anyway, here are my thoughts. A few people wanted to know what I think about the US election, although those who follow me on Twitter have already quite a good idea about my feelings towards this election, and that it feels like a concept of a really bad reality show. So I'll just make one thing clear. I dislike Hillary. I dislike Trump. Frankly, even before those two clowns ended up as the two options for becoming the next president, I didn't know who should I support. Granted, I didn't follow this crap from the start, but my initial reaction towards finding out that these two are running for president were something like the following. When I first heard about Trump, I thought that it was a joke. Then I realized that it was real, and I just facepalmed for like 20 seconds and just asked myself, why? Why? Well, my reactions for Hillary was something like this. Piss off, Hillary. Just go away. Everybody's more qualified than this fraud. Yeah, a great start, isn't it? That being said, I was never a fan of Bernie Sanders since his utopian delusions aren't compatible with reality, but at least I had a tiny bit of respect up until WikiLeaks released the information and he, despite of that, decided to endorse Hillary. Typical socialist. No backbone in his body. Nothing. So yeah, the USA has to pick between Trump and Clinton. There are also the other two candidates that are there just for people to say, no, 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 you can also pick somebody else. But let's be real, they don't stand a chance. That being said, both the Libertarian and the Green Party candidate would make a better president than the two that have an actual chance of becoming a president. And in case you're wondering who I agree the most based on some online tests, it's actually Jill Stein. In all seriousness, she seems the most genuine out of all four, and maybe it's because I belong to those who still haven't given up on saving the environment. But then again, she also said some quite laughable things, like her being against Wi-Fi. Please. If there was no Wi-Fi, I couldn't even be making these videos. Anyway, let's now stick our boot deeper into the dirt that is this election, and let's talk about the two who actually can win and how the media handles it. If this election was good for one thing, then it was to show how biased the media is, how corrupt it is, and how powerful Clinton and the people who back her are. I belong to those people who don't blindly trust what the media is saying, because over the last 2 years the media was so biased here in Europe that you have to be seriously stupid to not see through them pushing their views, taking things out of context, cherry picking, defending those that are on their political side regardless of what they have done. That's why I didn't fall for all the demonizations of Trump, because it's all a distraction. Not to mention that they were making news out of the dumbest things imaginable. Trump didn't let a baby disturb his speech. He hates children. He's a monster. Trump made a joke about how a 12-year-old could date him in 10 years. That's totally not a joke about himself dating younger women who only care about money. It means he's a pedophile. He's a monster. Or when they talked about him abusing women because 11 years ago he said that he can grab women by their pussy. I never thought that I would be defending Trump or anyone who has this arrogant macho personality in general, but what Trump was doing in that stupid recording was showing off. Trump is an arrogant douchebag. And arrogant douchebags love to talk to other arrogant douchebags so that they can exaggerate what they can do, what they have done, just to show off how they are arrogant douchebags. I cannot stand such people, but I know that when they say such crap to impress other douchebags, they are doing this just because of their huge ego. That's it! There's nothing more to such people. So taking everything they say literally is beyond idiotic. Some time ago, I read an article that was titled something like Trump supporters take Trump seriously, but not literally. But those who oppose Trump don't take him seriously, but take everything he says literally. Yeah. This more or less sums up 9 out of 10 headlines that were published about Trump in the last few months. The whole election is just Trump versus the never Trump people. And this is something terrible because the people who vote against him will vote for Hillary. And they aren't doing that because they like Hillary. They just consider her the lesser of two evils for whatever reason. And voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for something evil. I consider Hillary worse, but that's not enough for me to support Trump. Not at all. I cannot vote, and even if I could vote, I wouldn't vote for him. Considering the amazing choices of this presidential election, I would probably either not vote at all or just troll vote for Jill Stein, cause in all honesty she would make the best president at this point, especially since Gary Johnson's brain has turned into mush recently. Granted, I'm for legalizing marijuana, but he behaves like the marijuana he's using left permanent brain damage on him. I wonder how much of that crap you even have to take to get that result. I know that I went off topic, but can you blame me? Both Hillary and Trump make me want to throw up. Yeah. Anyway, I think that Trump is an idiot, although he pales in comparison to with Bush, no matter what people say. I also quite dislike how he is recently being labeled a defender of free speech because he's not politically correct. Look, Trump is not politically correct in the sense of pushing the envelope and talking about things people ignore out of convenience. He's not politically correct because he is a loudmouth that loves to be rude to people. There's a big difference between those two, and mixing those two together is what people who push political correctness want. They want that people, with what they consider as unwanted ideas and thoughts, are grouped together with rude jerks. That's not helping anyone. Secondly, Trump is not for free speech. Frankly, he cannot stand it when somebody insults his huge ego. He can dish it out, but he really cannot take it. He also, just like Hillary, likes to lie. A lot. And those people who disliked him like to point that out. But they also like to ignore Hillary's lying, and vice versa. They both lie. If you ignore the lying of the candidate you support, then stop bitching about the lying of the other candidate. There's no justification for that. Now that we got Trump out of the way, let me just say my 2 cents about Hillary Rotten Clinton. I dislike her even more than Trump because she represents everything I hate about politicians. Not only is she lying about more or less everything, even things that she has basically no benefit from lying about. She is also constantly changing her mind just to appeal to everybody she wants to appeal at the moment. Like when she all of a sudden wanted to appeal to Bernie supporters and just stopped mentioning all the things she used to support before that. Or her opinion on gay marriage. Back then when it was controversial to be for gay marriage, she was against it. Now she's totally for it. if you're stupid enough to believe anything from her. People that are like that are unreliable because they only care about getting the votes, and once they get them, they forget about everything they promised and show the voters the middle finger. They only care about themselves and the personal gain, nothing else. Almost all politicians in my country are like that, and it surely doesn't help that Hillary reminds me a lot of a certain prime minister we had who made me feel more embarrassed to be living here than Melania Trump could do in 8 years of being the first lady. Yes, that woman was really that bad. Then we also have all of the skeletons in Hillary's closet. Frankly, I don't get how you can say that with her victory, America won't participate in wars anymore, because I've seen that from her supporters. She has a freaking track record when it comes to wars. She didn't oppose to what happened in the Middle East and Libya, but she does love getting money from there, especially Qatar and Saudi Arabia. You know, the countries that are pure paradise for women and the LGBT, or basically everyone who dares to think for themselves. She's incredibly corrupt, but she's also above the law. Breaking the law has only consequences for peasants, not for the elite. Because let's be honest, had somebody else done what she has been involved with, they would be now in prison. I'm quite glad that WikiLeaks published so many things in the last few months. Now we know how much influence she and the people around her have, and how much shady business happens in the background. I'm quite amazed that WikiLeaks actually managed to do this, considering how much people wanted to prevent that from happening. This morning, for instance, Twitter had a blackout when WikiLeaks released the DNC leaks 2. I think that was the hashtag. It was on top of the trends, and then Twitter stopped working, and when the site was online again, the trend magically disappeared. Then it shortly came back for a few minutes, and once again, it was gone, just like that. Poof! How very totalitarian of you, Twitter, making sure that people don't learn what you don't want them to learn. It's also not the first time this happened. Trends that are against Hillary are always removed from Twitter shortly after they appear. Same with Facebook when they censored people from sharing links to WikiLeaks. Or how the mainstream media ignores WikiLeaks and they either don't cover them at all or just barely mention them. And even then, they just glance over what happened and just hope that everybody will forget it, because they will no longer mention it. At the same time, Trump makes a stupid comment and it's headline news for days. No wonder the trust in mainstream media is at an all-time low, and deservedly so. Same with how Project Veritas revealed how much corruption happens. And how did the mainstream media react? Is that the sound of dead journalism? Let's be honest. Hillary is the favorite of the establishment. She will do whatever the establishment wants. And I cannot stand this obvious bias, manipulation, corruption, which will bring nothing than just lingering in a broken system. That's why I dislike her more than Trump. And I do hope a change to this will happen in the future. Granted, a Trump presidency would speed things up a lot, since for the cringeworthy years would definitely bring a change. But that's once again not enough for me to support Trump. So all in all, I cannot vote, and even if I could, you now know what I would do. And if anyone who wants to vote sees this video, vote for the person you actually want to win. Don't vote for someone just cause they're less bad, because you're still voting for someone you dislike. It's something that constantly happens in my country. We have a right-wing party, which some people will support regardless of what happens, and every left-leaning party is just there to be the opposition of that party. And a left-wing party normally wins, bar one so far, and they do a horrible job at running this country. I'm not saying that the right-wing party would have done a better job, but that's what you get if you vote for the lesser of two evils. You get people in charge that convince you that the others are worse, even though they themselves are going to do a horrible job. It's a circle jerk that gets the same result again and again and again, and it's a sign of a broken system. So, how will the average American react in case of a Trump victory? Well, I imagine that those who dislike him will react the same way the Remainers reacted to Brexit. They'll behave like it's the end of the world and they'll stay bitter for quite a while. And I'm quite sure that they would demand another chance to vote, because remember, it's only democracy if you get the result you want. And how would they react if Trump loses and Hillary wins? Well, I imagine that most Americans would react the same way the couple at the end of the movie The Graduate reacts. At first, they'll be happy, but soon the realization will come and they'll notice that they didn't dodge the bullet, so better get a bottle of some strong alcoholic drink, cause you're going to need it. As of my prediction on who's going to win, even though Trump's chances seem to be rising as of recently, I'm staying with my original prediction. Then again, I also made the same mistake about Brexit when I stayed with my original prediction so shortly before the vote happened. Anyway, I think that more people hate Trump than he has supporters, and those will, of course, vote for Hillary. And after that, you're going to hear them bitching for 4 years. So, congrats, Hillary. You're going to be the first F president. F because she deleted the email in female. Oh, and also enjoy the 4 years where you can no longer distract people with Trump because all of your skeletons that are now strategically ignored and are rotting somewhere will come out and have their little skeleton dance. And the sooner that happens, the better. That's all for me.